True leader Andy Robertson hailed by Scottish media after historic night for Liverpool star. Andy Robertson has been hailed as a true leader by the Scottish media after the Liverpool star became the first player to captain his nation to a World Cup in nearly 30 years. Robertson was at the heart of a dramatic night at Hampden Park as Scotland beat Denmark 4-2 in a winner-takes-all encounter, and secured its place at next year's tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Kieran Tierney and Kenny McLean both struck in stoppage time to send their country to the World Cup for the first time since 1998, and with Steve Clarke's side securing legendary status in the process. Scotland's media has understandably been celebrating the achievement in some style, with Robertson hailed for his part in leading his side to the finals, the first man to do so in 28 years. The Scotsman gave the Liverpool star a 7 out of 10 in its ratings, and even forgave him for his second-half mistake that almost cost his side dearly. The Scotland captain worked exceptionally hard all night on his 90th cap, their summary read. Pinged by VAR for a needless challenge on Gustav Isaksson right on the corner of the penalty box, which resulted in a spot kick for Hodgland to convert. But he drove his team on and deserves this moment. A true leader. The Herald gave Robertson the same score, writing, Scotland captain was unfortunate to concede a penalty for a loose tackle just inside the area, but VAR looked to have got it right. Forced to defend for the majority of the evening, but created some huge chances when desperately searching for a winner. The Edinburgh Evening News decided to take a point off as it gave him a 6/10, saying, looking to make up for an error-strewn display in Athens, the skipper conceded the penalty for tripping Isaksson on edge of the box. Recovered well thereafter and didn't let his head drop. It was an understandably emotional night for Robertson, who paid a special tribute to Diogo Jota after the game, having admitted he couldn't get his former Liverpool teammate out of his head ahead of Scotland's big day. Summing up his emotions, Robertson told BBC Sport, that just sums up this squad, never say die, we just keep going right to the end, and one of the craziest games of football, we certainly put the country through it. But I'm sure it'll all be worth it. We're going to the World Cup, I can't believe it. This group of boys, this group of staff, honestly, it's the best group I've ever been involved in. The manager's speech before the game was unbelievable in the hotel. To do it for him, to do it for all of the staff, all the families, honestly, it'll go down as one of the greatest nights of my life. Andy Robertson pays emotional Diogo Jota tribute after Liverpool star leads Scotland to World Cup. An emotional Andy Robertson paid a special tribute to Diogo Jota after the Liverpool left-back led Scotland to its first World Cup in nearly 30 years. A dramatic night at Hampden Park saw former Liverpool coach Steve Clarke and his side qualify for the next year's tournament after a 4-2 win over Denmark, the first time the nation has reached the finals since 1998. Robertson therefore becomes the first man to captain Scotland to a World Cup in 28 years, and the Reds' vice-captain was right at the heart of the drama after his mistake looked as though it might have cost his side dearly. After Scott McTominay gave the hosts the lead with a spectacular overhead kick, Robertson was adjudged to have fouled Gustav Isaksson after a long VAR check in the second half, with Rasmus Hodgland stepping up to equalize for Denmark. The drama wasn't over though, with Rasmus Christensen sent off before Lawrence Shankland put Scotland back ahead, only for Patrick Dorga to level moments later and put Denmark on the verge of qualifying, and the hosts on the verge of a spot in the playoffs. Kieran Tierney's stoppage-time goal though turned the game on its head yet again before Kenny McLean scored from inside his own half to confirm Scotland's ticket to the United States, Canada and Mexico next year, and spark wild celebrations. Speaking to BBC Sport after the game, a clearly emotional Robertson found it difficult to put the achievement into words. That just sums up this squad, never say die, we just keep going right to the end, and one of the craziest games of football, we certainly put the country through it. Robertson said. But I'm sure it'll all be worth it. We're going to the World Cup, I can't believe it. Robertson then went on to pay a special tribute to Jota, who of course sadly died during the summer. The pair were great friends, with Robertson having attended Jota's wedding just days before the car accident that cost him and his brother his life. I think I've hit it well, but today I've been in bits. Robertson admitted. I know with my age, this could be my last chance of a World Cup, I couldn't get my mate Diogo Jota out of my head. We spoke so much together about the World Cup. When he missed out on Qatar because of injury, I missed out because Scotland never went, and we discussed what it would be like going to this World Cup. I know he'll be somewhere smiling over me tonight, and I just couldn't get him out of my head the whole day, I was in a bit of trouble in my room earlier. Summing up his feelings on a special night for his country, Robertson added, "This group of boys, this group of staff, honestly, it's the best group I've ever been involved in." The manager's speech before the game was unbelievable in the hotel. To do it for him, to do it for all of the staff, all the families, honestly, it'll go down as one of the greatest nights of my life. Andy Robertson makes history after VAR scare as Liverpool handed Alexander Isak boost. The international break came to a close on Tuesday for Liverpool's players, with 6 more players in action before returning to Merseyside this week. Arne Slot will get his squad back together over the next couple of days as the Reds prepare to return to action in the Premier League, with plenty of work to do if they're to make up ground on Arsenal in the title race. It's been a dramatic international break for some of Liverpool's players, with Dominik Szoboszlai and Milos Kerkez missing out on a place at next year's World Cup in the most dramatic of circumstances, while others managed to secure their place at the tournament. There was still some time left for some drama on Tuesday as the last of Liverpool's internationals took to the stage. Andy Robertson captained his country in a huge winner-takes-all game against Denmark, and what a night it proved to be for the Liverpool left-back as he led Scotland to a first World Cup since 1998. Scott McTominay's spectacular overhead kick gave the hosts the perfect start, although they were handed a major setback when former Red Ben Ganondok, who had provided the assist for the goal, was stretchered off midway through the first half. And worse was to come when Robertson gave away what looked to be a crucial penalty during the second half, having been adjudged to have fouled Gustav Isaksson inside the penalty area after a long VAR check. Rasmus Højlund stepped up to equalize from the spot, but there was plenty more drama to come as Rasmus Christensen before Lawrence Shankland put Scotland back ahead. Patrick Dorgu would equalize again just moments later to put Denmark on the verge of qualifying. As the game moved into stoppage time though, Kieran Tierney put Scotland 3-2 up with a superb strike, before Kenny McLean secured their place at the World Cup with a goal from inside his own half to spare Robertson's blushes on the most dramatic of nights. Alexander Isak had to make do with a place on the bench for Sweden's final qualifier against Slovenia, despite having indicated he was ready to start after making his return from injury on Saturday. And the striker wasn't called upon at any point by Graham Potter as his side ended a miserable qualifying campaign with a 1-1 draw, although Slot will be happy to see no risks taken with Isak ahead of his return to Liverpool. Georgi Mamardashvili was once again in goal for Georgia in its final qualifier against Bulgaria, although their campaign ended with more disappointment. Georgia fell to a 2-1 defeat in Sofia, leaving them with just 1 win from their 6 games as they finished third in their group. Their World Cup hopes had already been ended ahead of kickoff, with the Nations League offering no reprieve. Mamardashvili will now have to wait and see whether he will hold on to his place in the Liverpool side, with Alisson Becker expected to return from injury soon, and potentially back in the running to face Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Wataru Endo was back in action for Japan for the first time since September, and he captained his country to a comfortable 3-0 win over Bolivia in Tokyo. The midfielder played the full 90 minutes, only the 4th time he has done that for club and country this season, having missed the last international break through injury. Endo though indicated after the game that he isn't too happy with his lack of minutes this season, with his role at Liverpool starting to be reflected with Japan, where he has found himself slipping down the pecking order. "I'm not completely satisfied, so first I'll go back to my club and do my best so that I can meet you again in March with a good face.